Hi everyone, I hope you're all okay. So today I thought I'd talk you through some books that I have recently read that I have loved because it is officially autumn and I don't know about you guys, but where I currently live the weather has been so grey and drizzly and just horrible, but at the same time I feel like this is the perfect time of year to snuggle out with a book under a blanket in the afternoon or get into bed early to read, and I absolutely adore reading. It's one of my favourite ways to unwind and relax. So I thought if any of you guys are like me, I thought I'd share some of my recent book loves, and yeah, I just thought it'd be a fun video to chat about some books and a nice little cozy video for a grey day. So I read books through my Kindle. This is my Kindle here. The case is looking very well loved. It's quite a few years old now, and yes, I absolutely love my Kindle. I've always loved reading ever since I was young. I used to be obsessed with Jacqueline Wilson back in the day, and I just, yeah, like I said, it's one of my favourite ways to unwind. I find it a really good way to switch off and relax, and I just find that reading makes me feel quite tired, and yeah, it's just one of my favourite ways to kind of spend some time. And recently I've been trying to get back into reading because over the summer I didn't really read as much. So now that the weather's a bit cosy and obviously the evenings are starting to draw in, there's nothing I love more than hopping into bed with my Kindle and reading a good book. And it probably makes me sound like I'm about 87, but it's the truth. So yeah, so I thought I would talk through some books that I'm recently loving, because I don't know about you guys, I'm always looking for new books to read, and I'm a little bit of a cheapskate when it comes to books. I only usually download books that are either free or around 99p. There are a couple that are a little bit more like that in this selection, but the majority of them are quite cheap books. So I always struggle to find good cheap books, so hopefully this will be helpful if you are a little bit like me who doesn't like spending too much. And also I like quite a certain type of book genre, and that is usually I guess you could call it like chick lit, which I hate that phrase. It's like up there with girl boss of things that I just don't like, but I guess you could kind of say it's kind of like romance, a little bit of comedy, quite light and fluffy, because I am reading these books to relax and escape and basically just switch my brain off, so I don't want anything too intense. However, there are a couple within this little roundup that I'm going to tell you in a minute that aren't the usual fluffy kind of books that you'd expect from this genre, so hopefully there's something for everyone. But if that kind of sounds like your bag, then I hope you're going to enjoy the books that I'm going to tell you about. So first of all, we're going to start off with one of my most recent reads, and this is completely opposite to the genre that I was just talking about. This is definitely more of like a thriller, psychological thriller, kind of crime, suspense. I don't even know what would be the best way to describe it, but this came up in my recommendation on Amazon because I'd read a sample of another book which was quite similar. Everyone had been talking about it on Instagram, and I was just curious what it was about, so I downloaded a sample. I really like that on Amazon, that you can download a free sample of a book, so you can like read the first couple of chapters, see if it's for you, and then go from there. So this is called Date Night. I probably should tell you the author, shouldn't I? Because all I've got is the titles. Let me switch on my Kindle. So this is called Date Night by Samantha Hayes. I will link all the books in the description box too, so you can go check them out yourself. But yeah, so I downloaded a sample of this and I was hooked from the sample. I had to download it because I needed to know what happened next. I think it was only about 99p, so it's super cheap. And like I said, I don't normally read books like this, but I was just like, I need to know what happened. So basically it all centres around a couple called Libby and Sean who go on a date night. They go to their local pub for a nice meal, and they leave their house. They leave a teenage babysitter called Sasha looking after their 5-year-old daughter, and they just, you know, go out. However, they then return home later that evening to find that their babysitter has gone missing, and there seems to be no signs of a forced entry. All her stuff is still in their house. The daughter is upstairs safely asleep, and it's suddenly this, you know, where has she gone, how has she gone missing, and it kind of flips between leading up to the date night to the date night to the present. So it's kind of 3 different kind of timelines that kind of build up this story, and it was so twisty turny. I had no idea what was going to happen, and I kept thinking I know what's going to happen, and then something would happen and I'd be like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. And when it actually came to the end, I ended up literally devouring it in just a few days because I just wanted to know what happened, and it's been so long that a book has gripped me like that. I think I spent one Saturday evening, which is so sad. Like, I should be out having fun on a Saturday evening, but instead I was reading my book. I just kind of raced through it because I just needed to know. And the ending, I did not expect the ending. There was another twist that I was not expecting. So it was really good in the fact that I didn't know what was coming, because obviously sometimes you read these books and you can totally guess by a country mile what's going to happen. It's very obvious, but this was not at all. And I was like, oh my goodness. I really did enjoy it. However, I didn't find it the most relaxing read to read before sleep, and it kind of made me realise why I do read the kind of books that I do. I think I'm a bit of an empath. Is that how you say it? Empath? I can, you know, when basically you kind of take on other people's emotions. I feel like I'm a little bit of one of those, because I found that as Libby was starting to get a little bit frustrated and anxious and worried during the book, I was taking on those feelings. And there was one night where I'd read quite a few chapters before bed, turned off the light, and I was literally just lying there, and I felt really kind of agitated and like just didn't feel relaxed. So if you're, you know, if you're able to distance yourself from emotions and just read a book for what it is, then I'm sure this would be fine for you. Otherwise, it's maybe one to read perhaps not before bedtime, because I did struggle a little bit with it, and I was like, okay, this is totally a reason why I read like quite fluffy romance stuff, because at least I don't kind of take on any of the emotion, if that makes sense. But it was such a good read. Like I said, I found it super gripping, and I'm definitely going to check out more of Samantha's books because I thought she was a very good writer. I didn't know what was going to happen next, and yeah, it was a great little read, so definitely would recommend that if you're into more kind of thriller, twisty turny. Also, I am so sorry if you can hear the dog next door barking. He is absolutely going off on one today, so I'm really sorry if you can hear it. Unfortunately, not much I can do, but fingers crossed it's not too disturbing. The next book is a lot more fluffy and chiclety, and this is like, I feel like if you're into that genre, you may have already read this book, because I feel like it's kind of quite a well-known book, but it's I Heart New York by Lindsay Kelk. This actually came up in the free Kindle books, which I was so shocked about, because Lindsay Kelk's quite a well-known writer. I Heart New York is part of a big kind of series, which I hadn't realised. But yeah, it's very well known, and once I kind of read into it a little bit, I was like, oh, I feel like I've seen this. I'm pretty sure my mum's got it, but I'd never actually read it before, and I'm usually drawn to books that are set in New York, you know me. So this kind of just sounded perfect. So this all centres around the main character. I can't remember her name, which is really bad, but yeah, anyway, so it centres around a main character who runs and escapes to New York City when her life is turned upside down. There are definitely parts of it that are super unrealistic, and I was like, this would never happen. But you have to not overthink these books, because they are a form of escapism. They're like, you know, based on someone's fantasies, aren't they? So you kind of have to just block that bit out. But it was a nice read. I read a couple of fluffy books like this recently that have been shocking. I'm not even going to mention them because I don't really see the point, but I read one that, oh my god, I don't want to sound like horrible, but the writing was atrocious. And I was just like, I've lost the will to live. But this was written really lovely, and I did wanted to know what was going to happen next. It was just a cute, cozy read that was just easy to read before bed. I could totally switch off and relax, and yeah, it was just a nice read, and I definitely recommend it if you haven't read it. The next book is called Rachel's Holiday by Yankees, and she is definitely one of my favourite authors. I've read loads of her books, and I think they are brilliantly written. She's always very good at writing quite funny stories and really interesting characters. So most of her books are set in Ireland because she's Irish, and just she has a wonderful sense of humour, and I definitely recommend checking out her books if you haven't. So Rachel's Holiday is, I think it's quite a recent book for her, and it came up in the Kindle recommended. I only think it was like 99p, 1.99, so super cheap for a new book, and it all bases around Rachel, who finds herself in rehab. And it's definitely not it wasn't the fluffiest, lightest of reads, but it definitely wasn't too intense and too dark. So it kind of didn't affect my sleep or, you know, stress me out or anything like that. But it definitely wasn't like the easiest of reads either. But basically it kind of flips between past and present of Rachel. You know, when you get into the book, she's in rehab and she's a bit like, I don't understand why I'm in rehab, and then it kind of goes back to past events. And yeah, it's just very interesting, and I found it quite eye-opening. I thought it dealt with like drug addiction in, you know, a good way. It was informative and gave you an eye-opening without it being too heavy, and I definitely opened my eyes to what rehab is like. I always thought that rehab was like super posh and like almost like a spa, so it was very interesting to kind of, you know, hear about how it really is. And yeah, it was a great read. There was lots of great characters and I just really enjoyed it. So yeah, so definitely recommend that as well if you're looking for something quite easy to read but not like super fluffy. And I definitely would recommend Marianne Keyes' other books because she is a brilliant writer. The next book is called One Day in December, and this is again like a romantic, quite fluffy novel. Hang on, who is this by? Let me get you the author. Okay, Josie Silver. So this is all about, hang on, have I written it down? I am so bad at remembering characters' names, so do forgive me. Basically, it centres around a girl, a woman, who sees the love of her life when she's on a bus. So she's at a bus, pulls into a bus stop, through the window she sees this man and she's like, oh my god. They share like a moment, and then it kind of goes backwards and forwards to the past and present of all these kind of chance meetings that she has with him, and then also kind of her life. And it kind of centers around her and her best friend, and it was great. I really enjoyed it because it was kind of a twist on the typical kind of girl meets boy kind of story. Again, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. It was very twisty turny, and I found myself, you know, wanting to know what happened. You know, was she ever going to find this guy? Was she ever going to end up with this guy? And it was just a really great read, and it's kind of based around kind of Christmassy time, so it's quite a Christmassy cozy novel, which I absolutely love at this time of year. So yeah, definitely would recommend checking it out if you want a romance novel that's not like completely straightforward, if that makes sense. It was good, really enjoyed it. The next book is a super cozy read, which was kind of like, I feel like it was the equivalent of snuggling down under a blanket with a hot chocolate on a cold day, and this is called Summer at the Kindness Cafe. I'm pretty sure it's by Victoria Walters. Yes, it is. I've just double checked on my Kindle, and it was just such a lovely read. So it all bases around, I think it's 3 women who are all living in a tiny little village or slash town, and they're summer, and they kind of found themselves in this place kind of unexpectedly, and it's just kind of going about their stories, and it was just a lovely book. It wasn't too fluffy, but obviously it wasn't too intense. It wasn't just about romance, there was a lot of stuff about like friendship and family, and it was just a really lovely book. I honestly loved it and I didn't want it to end. And whilst I was doing some research for this video, I've seen that Victoria has just released another book, and I think it's a Christmassy themed book, so I'm gonna definitely download that this evening. I'm currently halfway through another book, and I think once I've done that, I'm going to be I'm definitely going to download it tonight, so I've got it on my Kindle ready to go. But I'm so excited because, as you guys know me, I love Christmas. So yeah, so I'm really excited to read that because yeah, I absolutely loved Summer at the Kindness Cafe. It was just a lovely read, and I definitely would recommend it. So the final book I'm going to be mentioning is called The Man Who Didn't Call by Rosie Walsh. Now, I read this last year, but it's one of those few books, I read quite a lot of books, and it's one of those few books that I really remember and stands out for me. And when I was on the Kindle kind of bestsellers like list the other day, I saw that this has kind of gone up the chart, so it's obviously become really popular, which is really cool. And this has the premise of sounding like a usual romantic book. It's about a man and a woman who have this magical 7 days together. They meet, they fall in love, they have this really intense whirlwind romance. They go their separate ways at the end of the 7 days, they make plans to see each other again, you know, they're determined that each other is the one. And then he completely ghosts her. She doesn't hear from him. And it goes through this kind of her being like, you know, what happened? You know, was I making it up? You know, why didn't he call? And you're like, what is going on here? And it was so good. There was a massive twist that I totally did not see coming, and you just want to know why he didn't call. It's just, I just found it very twisty turny, but at the same time it was quite light, and yeah, it was really good. I thought it was a very kind of interesting twist, and I hadn't really read anything like that before, which I really liked. I wasn't expecting it from like the blurb. I just wasn't expecting it, and then as soon as I downloaded the sample I was like, oh my god, I need to read on. So yeah, really good. Definitely a good twist on like the usual kind of romantic novels, but I couldn't guess what was going to happen, and it was one of those again that I was like, I need to know what's going to happen, so I just kept reading and reading. So yeah, really enjoyed that, and it's really good to see that it seems to be doing really well, because I thought it was completely different to anything else I'd read. So there we have it. There are some books recently that I have read and I have loved. I know that I haven't featured that many, but I only wanted to talk about the ones that I really remembered well and kind of stood out to me. Like I said, I do read quite a lot of fluff that I get from like the free Kindle book section, and let's be honest, they're not always the best. But these ones have been, I really enjoyed reading every single one of them for like different reasons, and I just think they're perfect for cozying up to this autumn. I would love to know if you have any book recommendations, so please do let me know in the comments below if you've read a recent book that you think I would like, or that you'd like to share with others, because I'm always looking for new books to read. I'm a super fast reader, so yeah, I'm always looking for new things to read, so please do let me know. But I am gonna go now. I hope you're doing really well. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any other new videos, and also give it a like too if you enjoyed it, and let me know if you would like to see more regular book videos, because I'd be more than happy to maybe do a roundup or talk about recent favourite books, you know, every kind of couple of months or so. Just let me know and I would definitely be down for doing that. But I'm definitely going to go now, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.